Africans in New York got a taste of home during the first official weekend of summer with a festival that highlighted the continent's culture, African fashion, food, and music. Was celebrated at the 4th Annual African Pop-Up Festival in Brooklyn, New York. The event, a precursor to the African Restaurant Week, usually held in October in New York, saw over a dozen vendors from different parts of New York and neighboring state New Jersey in attendance. Fashion was the main attraction of the event.
The basis of my shop is basically custom authentic Moroccan stuff from Morocco, because I'm from Marrakesh. So I have like kimonos, bags, Islamic headdresses that I make, handmade. So that's one of the things that we specialize in. We also do like urban clothing for the youth as well.
I would say my brand serves three purposes. Number one is to educate, number two is to inspire, and the third piece is that we give 10% of our proceeds to support children with autism. Just to give you a little background on the brand is called the Adinkra Republic. Now the Adinkra symbols go back 1876, as far back as 1876, and it was designed for the royal family of the Ashanti Kingdom. Back in 1957, after Ghana gained its independence, they released the symbols and made it available to the general public. For me, working in corporate America, I found myself lost because I have to wear suit and tie all the time, and I couldn't wear my traditional African attire. So I took the symbols that my grandmother taught me about, and I put the symbols on the socks. Why socks? As men, we don't have a lot of accessories. So I wanted to find a place where people can connect, a place where people can take their culture with them to the boardroom. And that's what the brand is about.
Besides clothing and its accessories, including jewelry, there was also skincare products available.
So I basically have a wellness company. I make natural skincare products. I have 3 children with really sensitive skin, so I started making soaps and then I expanded. But I'm also a doula, and so I make these care packages for my families to remember to take care of themselves as well as take care of their babies.
With nearly all COVID-19 restrictions lifted across the United States, organizers of the African Pop-Up Festival have a packed itinerary for the second half of the year, starting with the African Restaurant Week in New Jersey in July. With the summer season now in full swing across the United States, organizers of the African Pop-Up Festival say they're looking to expand the festival to other states, including Atlanta in the South, in hopes of spreading the African culture and giving a further boost to African businesses. From Brooklyn in New York, Nia Kofi Smartabe, African News.
The urgency decreed in Lisbon can only be overcome if humanity manages to resolve different contradictions. For example, the deep-sea extraction of fossil energy resources collides with the preservation of the oceans. Among oil-exporting countries, there are policymakers aware of the need for new solutions. Heads of state and government, representatives of the scientific community, the private sector and civil society will seek at this summit to find answers to the growing needs to implement new paradigms of sustainable exploitation of the immense resources that the oceans place at our disposal, which we must seek to exploit in an increasingly sustainable way and to preserve for future generations. Fossil resources are sources of wealth that no country can do without, as Mozambique's Minister of the Sea explains, especially when they allow other development goals to be reached. Although we know that the issue of exploration of hydrocarbons, like other explorations that are done at sea, has some bad effects, no, if we don't control the situations, we have other benefits that are related to our development indexes. Naturally, for a country like ours, we have to resort to these resources in order to overcome certain needs that are pressing in our society. The balance is delicate but possible, although an energy paradigm shift is needed.
Oil and gas industry has been tightly regulated. And biodiversity can coexist with sustainable operations if they are properly licensed with environmental impact assessment I understand in developing countries revenues are extremely important. I understand we're in a crisis of fossil fuel need at the moment. However, the bigger crisis, the bigger picture, is the climate, it's the effect it's having on the ocean.
To face this challenge, the action of political decision makers or economic agents is not enough. After all, we are all energy consumers.
Clashes between M23 rebels and the DRC's armed forces have led to massive displacement of the population of Rutshuru territory in the eastern province of North Kivu. Many children have been separated from their parents. Maniragura Nzabagazani lives in the school in Yaragongu, near Goma. She spends the night here with these 4 kids. When she fled, 2 of her children were separated from her. She's also taking care of 2 children who have been separated from their families. Bullets were crackling. We fled. On the way, 2 of my children got lost. I never saw them again. I don't even know where they are. I lost Dorika and Enoch. When I remember my children, I have a feeling of palpitation, and I pray that God will protect them where they are. I don't know if they're still alive. My children have spent the night at the neighbor's house when suddenly early in the morning at 3 a.m., there was the crackling of bullets. We fled with those who were with me, and I haven't heard from them since. All I ask is to see my children again. The International Committee for Red Cross has confirmed that several children have been separated from their families. Raphael Teno, head of the organization, talks about the alarming figures. More than 800 children are so far unaccompanied. They have lost track of their parents, of their families. These are children who have found themselves displaced with people they don't know, who are now being traced back to their parents. According to UNICEF, since the end of March, more than 158,000 people, half of whom are children, have been displaced in the Rutshuru territories following the intensification of armed clashes.
The father of a Moroccan man by the name Ibrahim Sadoun, facing possible execution by Russia-backed separatists in Ukraine, appealed on Monday to Russian President Vladimir Putin to intervene as a father to spare his son from the firing squad. Sadoun's father insisted that Brahim was not a mercenary, as the court claims. I have 2 messages. A message to Mr. Vladimir Putin, President of Russia, in which I ask him to intervene as a father through humanitarian and unofficial organizations, NGOs, and the other message to the President of the Donetsk People's Republic, especially because they have made several presses, news conferences in the Russian press and other press, where they say that they are waiting for any intervention, no matter what, even from unofficial parties. Tahir Sadoun also called on Morocco's government to pursue negotiations on behalf of his son, Brahim, who was sentenced on June 9 to the death penalty. I want my son back, just like any other father would, and I'm willing to board the first flights to see him. However, I also regard the court as independent, and I have faith in it. Alongside Brahim are 2 Britons. The convicted 3 were given a month to appeal and could be executed as soon as early July if they don't. At least 46 people have been found dead in an abandoned lorry on the outskirts of San Antonio, Texas. A fire official said 16 people, including 4 children, had also been taken to hospital.
It's tragic. You know, there are that we know of 46 individuals who are no longer with us, who had families, who were likely trying to find a better life, and we have 16 folks who are fighting for their lives in their hospital. Our focus right now is to try to bring aid to them as best we can, but this is nothing short of a horrific human tragedy.
The patients that we saw were hot to the touch. They were suffering from heat stroke, heat exhaustion, no signs of water in the vehicle. It was a refrigerated tractor trailer, but there was no visible working AC unit on that rig.
3 people are being held in custody and the investigation has been handed over to federal agents. San Antonio, which is 250 kilometers from the US-Mexican border, is a major transit route for people smugglers transporting undocumented migrants who've managed to cross into the United States.